Headway 5th edition Intermediate Students Book, Class Audio, by Liz and John Saws and Paul Hancock. Published and copyright Oxford University Press, 2018. CD 1. 1.1. Erika Nordstrom.
Hi, I'm Erika Nordstrom. I'm Swedish. I live in Malmö in the south of Sweden. I'm a product quality manager for IKEA. My boyfriend, Lars, works as a security officer on the Öresund Bridge. We're both keen ice hockey players. We play for a local team, but last month I fell and twisted my ankle, so there's no hockey for me for a while.
1.2. Describing people. 1.
What does she do?
She's a product quality manager for IKEA.
2.
How old is she?
She's in her early 20s.
3.
What's she like?
She's really nice, very easygoing.
4.
What does she look like?
She's quite tall, with long blonde wavy hair.
5.
Who does she look like?
She's the image of her dad.
6.
What colour eyes has she got?
Greenish brown.
7.
How tall is she?
1 metre 73.
8.
What kind of clothes does she wear?
Smart casual and stylish.
9.
What does she like doing?
She plays ice hockey and also goes jogging.
10.
How is she?
She's fine. Her ankle's healing well.
1.3. Describing places. 1.
What's your apartment like?
It's modern and very comfortable.
2.
How big is it?
About 90 square meters.
3.
How many bedrooms are there?
2 doubles and a single.
4.
What size is the kitchen?
4 meters by 2.
5.
Which floor is it on?
The 4th floor.
6.
Which part of town is it in?
It's north of the river.
7.
How far is it to your work?
Just a 5-minute cycle ride.
1.4. Describing things. 1.
What make is it?
It's a MacBook.
2.
What's this button for?
It turns it on.
3.
How long is the battery life?
About 9 hours.
4.
How much does it weigh?
It's really light, 0.9 kilograms.
5.
What size is it?
It's got a 12-inch screen and it's very slim.
6.
How much memory has it got?
16 gigabytes.
7.
How fast is it?
It's much faster than my PC.
8.
Whose is it?
It's mine.
1.5. Question words. 1.
How often do you go to the gym?
2.
What size shoes do you take?
3.
How far is your house from the beach?
4.
What make is your car?
5,
What kind of food do you like?
6,
Which bread would you like for your sandwich?
7,
How many of you want coffee?
8,
What flavour ice cream would you like?
9,
Whose bag is that?
10,
Which way do you go for the city centre?
1.6. My favourite things.
So, Tom, what's on your list? Griff? That's a strange name. Who's Griff? Why is he important to you?
Well, he's my best mate.
Oh,
He was the very first person I met at secondary school when I was 11. I knew nobody and he knew nobody, so we just fell on each other, became best friends and, well, we still are.
aw. And Griff's his real name?
No, his name's actually David Griffiths, but there were so many Davids in our class. He was always called Griff. He still is. Everyone calls him that.
I see. So now, your favourite city or town, where's that?
That's easy. Definitely New York.
Ah,
My grandparents took me and my brother Jack there for 4 days when I was 14 and Jack was 16. It was the best holiday ever for me. We stayed in a hotel overlooking Central Park.
ah.
We went ice skating and we flew over the city in a helicopter. We saw everything. It was amazing. I'd love to work in New York.
Yeah, I think New York's a favourite for many people. What about a memorable meal? Where was that?
Actually, that was in New York. We went to Michael Jordan's restaurant in Grand Central Station. Have you heard of it?
What, Grand Central? Of course.
No, not the station. The restaurant, Michael Jordan's. I think it's quite famous.
I don't know it. What kind of restaurant is it?
It's a steakhouse. The steak is just the best. And you sit high up. It's so exciting. You can eat and watch all these New Yorkers rushing to catch their trains.
Sounds great. So, finally, do you have a treasured possession?
I'm not sure I do have a treasured possession. Well, there's my iPhone, of course. I certainly couldn't live without that. But other than that, I suppose it's the ship in a bottle that my great-grandpa gave me just before he died. He said it was very special to him, but I'm not sure why. He was too old to explain it clearly.
Aw, that's a shame. Now, do you want to hear about my favourite things?
Yeah.
1.7. What are you like? 1,
Life just becomes more and more complicated. All this new technology. As soon as I get used to something, it changes. What is the world coming to?
2,
I spent the whole weekend trying to teach my 5-year-old nephew how to ride a bike. Oh, bless him. He fell time and time again, but we kept going and finally he was away.
3,
It's amazing. Richard can never find his wallet when it's his turn to pay.
4,
You go. I don't really want to. I'm not very good in large groups. I never know what to talk about and pubs are so noisy.
5,
He has his future all planned out. He says he'll be a millionaire by the time he's 40.
1.8. What's their story? The Angulo brothers.
The weirdest brothers in the world. Imprisoned for years by their father in a tiny Manhattan apartment in New York, their only contact with the world was watching films. Now, they're in one.
Dressed in dark glasses, white shirts, black suits and black ties, Just like the robbers in Quentin Tarantino's thrilling movie Reservoir Dogs, they seem like any group of teenagers trying to look cool. But there is an astonishing reason why the 6 Angulo brothers try so hard to imitate their favourite film stars. For the Angulos, for 14 years, watching films wasn't just an escape from the outside world, it was their world. The 6 boys and their elder sister were imprisoned in an overcrowded, messy flat by an eccentric and tyrannical father who wanted to keep them from the horrors of modern life in New York. Homeschooled by their mother Suzanne, their family was so reclusive that many neighbours didn't even know they were there. Once, we didn't leave the apartment for a whole year, says Govinda. However, the children were not completely cut off from the outside world. Their father had a collection of 5,000 DVDs and videos, and the children watched these films time and time again. Now their story, which is stranger than any film, is told in a documentary film called The Wolf Pack.
1.9 My closest relative. Tess.
I think the person that I'm probably closest to is my sister, Charlotte, or Charlie, as everyone calls her. We're very different. She drives me crazy sometimes, and we have terrible rows, but I know we'll always be there for each other in the end. One thing I love about her is her sunny personality. She's so sociable, not shy like me. She's always cheerful and full of fun. Oh, people love her. They always want to be her friend. Me, I'm just her boring baby sister. But perhaps what I like best about her is the way she's so honest about herself. She says her big problem is that she can't sit still. She says she'd like to be like me and be happy just sitting reading or watching a film, just relaxing, really. I'm good at that.
Simon.
In my family, I think I'm closest to my granddad. My dad, I don't really get on with. We don't really see eye to eye about anything, but fortunately he's away on business most of the time. I think he'd like me better if I was good at sports, football or rugby or something. Any sport, but I'm not. What I like about Grandad is that we have the same interests. We both love wildlife, nature, plants and animals and things. We often go walking together in the countryside, and sometimes, in my school holidays, we go camping. I love that, even in the rain. I think emotionally I'm closer to him than I am to both my parents. You see, my mum also has a high-powered job and she travels a lot. I'm an only child, so I think I'd be lonely without my granddad. I love him. My friends love him too. He's always so interested in what they're doing. He's young at heart, my granddad.
Ellie.
The person I'm closest to in my family is definitely my mum. Everyone loves my mum. She's the kind of person you can talk to about anything. She's very understanding, especially now I have a baby of my own. She's a great help with the baby, George, but doesn't throw too much advice at me, if you know what I mean. At the moment, we spend a lot of time together because I'm not back at work. We go for walks with the baby. We go shopping together. We like the same kind of clothes. She's pretty cool, my mum. Not old-fashioned at all. We have our ups and downs, of course. A few years ago, I had a tattoo, a butterfly, done on my shoulder, and she didn't like that at all. She still goes on about it, but most of the time we get on very well indeed.
Nick.
I'm closest to my twin brother, Chris. We're not identical twins, but we have a lot of things in common. We follow the same football team, Arsenal. We like the same sort of music, especially house music, and we mainly have the same friends. But I suppose there are more differences than similarities. Well, I'm into all things history and politics, and Chris loves adventure and travel. Also, our personalities are very different. Well, I'm like my mum, calm and easygoing. Chris, he's like my dad. He can be moody and bad-tempered. With those two, Dad and Chris, often fight like cat and dog. I'm the referee. It's not a role I like. Chris has just gone travelling in Southeast Asia. He's in South Korea at the moment, in Seoul. I miss him a lot. I think as twins, we're closer than most brothers and sisters. We're different. But I trust him like I trust no one else, even my mum.
1.10 Making the right noises. Pleasure.
How fantastic! That's great. Congratulations! Good for you. Lovely. Brilliant.
Agreement.
Absolutely. Of course. Fine. Definitely. Fair enough. OK.
Surprise.
That's amazing! You're kidding! You did what? You didn't. Really? Did you?
Sympathy.
That's a shame. That's too bad. How awful! Oh dear. Bad luck. What a pity.
1.11 Making the right noises.
My grandfather hasn't been too well lately.
Oh dear.
He's 79, but he's always on the go. Don't you think at his age he should slow down a bit?
Absolutely.
But he won't listen to me. He says he wants to enjoy his life to the full.
Fair enough.
Last summer, he went on a 2-week cycling holiday in France.
Oh, you're kidding.
We're going to give him a big party for his 80th birthday.
Well, that's great.
But before that, I'm going to have a word with him and tell him to take things easy.
Good for you.
1.12 1.
I just had a weekend in Paris with my boyfriend.
Did you? How fantastic.
2.
Will spaghetti bolognese be OK for dinner?
Of course, that's great.
3.
My flight was cancelled because of a pilot's strike.
Oh dear, that's a shame.
4.
I failed my driving test again.
You didn't. That's too bad.
5.
We're expecting a baby.
Really? Congratulations!
6.
So, you think I should get a new job?
Definitely. You've never been happy with your boss.
7.
I told him I never wanted to see him again.
You're kidding! What a pity.
1.13 1,
I just had a weekend in Paris with my boyfriend.
Did you? How fantastic. What was the weather like?
2,
Will spaghetti bolognese be okay for dinner?
Of course, that's great. It's one of my favourites.
3,
My flight was cancelled because of a pilot's strike.
Oh dear, that's a shame. Will you get your money back?
4,
I failed my driving test again.
You didn't! That's too bad. Better luck next time.
5,
We're expecting a baby.
Really? Congratulations! When is it due?
6,
So, you think I should get a new job?
Definitely. You've never been happy with your boss. It's time to move on.
7,
I told him I never wanted to see him again.
You're kidding! What a pity. I always thought the two of you were so good together.
2.1 Language Quiz 1,
The official UN languages are English, Russian, Spanish, French, Chinese and Arabic. The majority of member nations prefer to receive correspondence in English.
2,
Languages are disappearing at the rate of 1 every 2 weeks. It's thought that around half of the world's languages will disappear in the next century.
3,
In Britain, bees go bzz and cats go meow. They make zum and meow sounds in German, and Japanese bees and cats go bun and nyan.
4,
Many African languages have developed clicking sounds as consonants, as in. In other languages, clicks are only used to express emotions, such as disapproval.
5,
If you are using an ATM in Latin, you must be in Vatican City. The Vatican has its own private bank, but only for priests and Vatican employees.
6,
Reading silently only became common in the 10th century AD. In the 4th century, reading silently was so unusual that people travelled to Milan to watch a bishop called Ambrose doing it.
7,
After the Vikings invaded Britain, people spoke Old Norse as well as Old English, which did have gender. As the two languages couldn't agree on gender, people stopped using it altogether.
8,
Edison was making the first sound recording when he recited "Mary Had a Little Lamb." He was astonished when it worked immediately and said, "I was always afraid of things that worked the first time."
9,
There have been many attempts to simplify English spelling. The Chicago Tribune newspaper got people to accept new spellings of catalogue and programme, but didn't succeed with the other examples.
10,
The first recorded use of OMG to show surprise was in a letter from John Fisher, a 75-year-old admiral in the British Royal Navy, to Winston Churchill in 1917. It became popular among young people when text messaging began.
11,
On average, 1,000 words are added to the Oxford Dictionaries online each year. Recent additions include hangry, getting angry because you're hungry, and pocket dial, when your phone accidentally calls someone's number.
12,
Vulgar Latin was spoken by the people of ancient Rome, but intellectuals liked to use Greek. When Caesar was killed, he is reported to have said, "And you, Brutus," in Greek.
2.2 No, they don't. 1,
Brazilians speak Spanish.
No, they don't speak Spanish. They speak Portuguese.
2,
The Pope lives in Madrid.
No, he doesn't live in Madrid. He lives in Rome, in the Vatican.
3,
Shakespeare wrote his plays in Latin.
No, you're wrong. He wrote them in English.
4,
The world is getting colder.
It isn't getting colder, it's getting warmer.
5,
The Americans didn't land on the moon.
Yes, they did. Neil Armstrong walked on the moon in 1969.
6,
Cinderella was going to the ball when she lost her shoe.
No, you've got that wrong. She was leaving the ball when she lost her shoe.
7,
The UK has never had a female Prime Minister.
Yes, it has. The UK has had 2 female Prime Ministers, Margaret Thatcher and Theresa May.
8,
The 2016 Olympics were held in London.
No, they weren't held in London in 2016. That was 2012. The 2016 Games were held in Rio de Janeiro.
2.3 is or has. 1,
My brother's just got a new job.
2,
He's working in Mexico at the moment.
3,
He's never worked abroad before.
4,
He's been there 6 weeks.
5,
He's been having a great time.
6,
He's really impressed his new boss.
7,
His new company's called Cyber Pronto.
8,
It's based in Los Angeles.
2.4
Hi, Nick. Have you been shopping?
Yes, I have. I'm going to cook fish pie for you two tonight. Did you have a good day at college?
No.
Oh, well, I did. We were practicing giving presentations.
Oh, sounds interesting. Was that not useful for you, Miguel?
No.
Why? Do you never have to give presentations at work?
No.
I do. That's why I need to improve my English.
Well, it's definitely improving.
Have you noticed my English is better?
Yes, I have. And it'll get better the longer you're here.
No, it won't, because he speaks Spanish with the other Spanish students all day.
No.
Yes, you do. You're always together. Are you going on the trip to Wales on Saturday?
Yes.
I'm going too. And Keiko and Roberto are, so spend the day speaking English with us.
Okay.
2.5
Hi, Nick. Have you been shopping?
Yes, I have. I'm going to cook fish pie for you two tonight. Did you have a good day at college?
No, I didn't. I didn't think the lessons were very interesting today.
Well, I did. We were practicing giving presentations.
Oh, sounds interesting. Was that not useful for you, Miguel?
No, it wasn't really. It's not something I need to practice.
Why? Do you never have to give presentations at work?
No, I don't. Well, not in English, anyway. Sometimes I have to give them in Spanish.
I do. That's why I need to improve my English.
Well, it's definitely improving.
Have you noticed my English is better?
Yes, I have. And it'll get better the longer you're here.
No, it won't, because he speaks Spanish with the other Spanish students all day.
No, I don't. I don't spend all my time with them.
Yes, you do. You're always together. Are you going on the trip to Wales on Saturday?
Yes, I am. I've always wanted to see Wales.
I'm going too, and Keiko and Roberto are, so spend the day speaking English with us.
Okay, I will. Maybe I do need to practice speaking English more.
2.6 Short answers. 1.
Did you hear that noise?
Yes, I did. I think it was thunder. 2.
Are you doing anything tonight?
No, I'm not. Do you want to come round?
3.
Have you seen my phone anywhere?
No, I haven't. Have you lost it again?
4.
Did you get those shoes you liked?
No, I didn't. They didn't have my size.
5.
Is it nearly break time?
Yes, it is. I'm dying for a coffee.
2.7 1.
Are you going to the match on Saturday?
No, I'm not. I've got too many jobs that need doing around the house.
2.
Have you been to America?
Yes, I have. I spent 2 fantastic weeks in San Francisco last summer.
3.
Does your phone take good photos?
No, it doesn't. I'm thinking of getting a new one that does.
4.
Has your business been doing okay?
Yes, it has. We've had lots of big orders recently.
5.
Were you born in this country?
No, I wasn't. My parents moved here when I was 2.
6.
Did you find your way here easily?
Yes, I did. I used the sat-nav.
2.8 A World in One Family. Nicholas.
So, Nicholas, how old are you?
I'm 21.
And you have an interesting background. What nationality are you?
Well, I'm British. I was born here and I've got a British passport.
And is that the same for your sister?
Yeah, Sarah was born here too.
But your parents, what nationality are they?
Well, my father's Brazilian and my mum's German, but they've both lived in the UK for 30 years.
And how did they meet? Was that here in the UK?
Yes. It's a funny story, actually.
Go on then.
Well, you should probably ask my mother about it.
OK, I will. What about languages? Your parents must speak very good English.
Yeah, both of them had good English when they came here, and it's pretty perfect now. But I do get to correct them sometimes.
So, what languages are spoken in your family?
Well, my dad speaks Portuguese, as well as English, obviously. My mum's father's German, and her mother's Brazilian, so she speaks German and Portuguese fluently. And she studied English at university.
Wow, so are you and your sister both bilingual or trilingual?
You could say Sarah's trilingual. I'm sort of bilingual.
Mm-hmm.
My dad didn't make as much effort to speak Portuguese with me, and I'm not really fluent in it.
And what's it like growing up in England with a Brazilian father and a German mother?
It's been fine. I didn't think about my nationality much when I was young. The first time I remember it being an issue was at secondary school when there was a World Cup. And my classmates said I had to choose which country to support, England, Germany or Brazil.
So, which was it?
I said I wanted to support all 3. Good job, really, because England and Brazil both got knocked out in the quarter-finals.
Oh, it pays to be multinational sometimes. So, has your background affected your career choice?
I guess so. I'm studying modern languages at university, Italian and German.
Oh, another new language.
Yes, I love Italian, and it's pretty similar to Portuguese.
And studying German must be dead easy for you.
In some ways, but writing in German is still difficult for me sometimes.
And what are you hoping to do in the future?
Good question. I'm not sure yet. But I want to use my languages. Hopefully in a job where I can travel or live abroad for a while.
Thanks, Nicholas.
2.9 A World in One Family. Elke.
Elke, you're German, aren't you?
Yes, I'm actually half German and half Brazilian, but I was born and grew up in Düsseldorf.
And how long have you lived here in Cambridge?
Oh, 31 years.
And how did that happen?
I came to the university as a postgraduate and, well, I met my husband, Philippe. We met at a student party.
Nicholas tells me it's a good story.
Yes. I was standing near two men. It was Philippe and his Brazilian friend Lucas. And, well, I looked German, or maybe English, not particularly Brazilian. So, after looking over at me, Philippe thought it was fine for him to say to Lucas, quite loudly in Portuguese, "Oh, she is cute. I'd like to ask her out."
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. He looked horrified and blushed like mad when I shouted over in Portuguese, "Well, you're not so bad yourself, so why don't you?" But then we laughed about it and spent the evening together. And, well, here we still are.
What made you decide to stay here?
Philippe got a job at the university, and I found a job soon after. It avoids deciding which of your countries to live in if you live in a third one.
True. Now, I wondered, did you choose Sarah and Nicholas's names because they're international?
Yes, they're common in all the countries we belong to.
And would you say that Sarah and Nicholas are both trilingual?
Sarah is. She's comfortable in German, Portuguese or English. She often switches languages without even noticing.
Now, Nicholas said his dad didn't make as much effort to speak Portuguese to him.
Oh, that's not true.
Oh.
We introduced it a bit later, but Philippe always used it with him. It's just that Nicholas kept replying in English.
Ah, well, I know Nicholas is studying languages. Has Sarah's background influenced her career?
Yes, she's a consultant for British companies doing business in Brazil, and she's often out there. I think she'll end up living there, actually.
And what do you think are the pros and cons of bringing up children in a different culture to your own?
I think it's a great opportunity to take the best of both cultures. People identify too much with just their own language and culture. But I do sometimes worry that my children don't feel like they really belong anywhere. I wonder whether it's possible to feel 100% English when your parents aren't English.
I see.
2.10 Pronunciation. 1.
Rose. Goes. Does. Toes.
2.
Meet. Beat. Great. Street.
3.
Paid. Made. Played. Said.
4.
Done. Phone. None. One.
2.11 Word stress.
Woman. Enjoy. Accent. Photographer. Computer. Pronunciation.
2.12 Everyday situations. 1.
Just a trim, please.
OK, how much do you want off? This much?
A bit more than that. My hair grows really quickly.
2.
No thanks, I'm just looking.
Well, just call me if you do need any help.
Thanks. Oh, actually, where are the changing rooms?
3.
Is it within walking distance?
No, not really. It's more of a taxi ride.
Thanks. Is there a taxi rank near here?
4.
I'm afraid I've locked myself out of my room.
Oh, that's no problem. I'll just do you another key card.
Thanks. I'll bring it straight back.
5.
I can't make the meeting. I'm stuck in traffic.
Oh no, you're the one giving the presentation.
Oh, come on. You could do it just as well as me.
6.
I need to make an appointment. It's quite urgent. I've lost a filling.
We have a cancellation this afternoon at 2:45, if that's okay.
Oh, that would be brilliant. Thank you ever so much. I'll see you then.
7.
Oh, no thanks. It was all lovely, but I couldn't eat another thing.
Oh, but you really must try the other dessert.
Honestly, I'd love to, but I really couldn't manage it.
8.
Is there a matinee performance today?
Yes, it's at 2:30, but I'm afraid it's sold out. How about tomorrow?
Oh, that won't work, unfortunately. We're only here for the day.
9.
Will this parcel get there tomorrow if it goes first class?
It should, but if you send it special delivery, it definitely will.
OK, I'll do that then, please. How much is it?
10.
Does it come with chips?
No, you have to order them as a side dish.
OK, could we have one portion to share then, please?
2.13. Listen and speak. 1. You don't want your haircut too short. What do you say to the hairdresser?
Just a trim, please.
2. A shop assistant asks if you need help. How do you say no?
No, thanks. I'm just looking.
3. How do you ask if somewhere isn't too far to walk to?
Is it within walking distance?
4. Your hotel room door has locked with your key inside. What do you say at reception?
I'm afraid I've locked myself out of my room.
5. You're in traffic and you'll be late for a meeting. What do you say to your colleague on the phone?
I can't make the meeting. I'm stuck in traffic.
6. You phone the dentists because you need a new filling as soon as possible. What do you say?
I need to make an appointment. It's quite urgent. I've lost a filling.
7. Your host at dinner offers you more food. How do you say no?
No, thanks. It was lovely, but I couldn't eat another thing.
8. How do you ask at the theatre if there's a performance this afternoon?
Is there a matinee performance today?
9. At the post office, ask if your parcel will arrive in 24 hours if you pay more.
Will it get there tomorrow if it goes first class?
10. Ask the waiter if you need to order chips with your dish.
Does it come with chips?
3.1. How I Stay Calm by people in stressful jobs. 1. The football manager, Gary Rudd.
When I watch my team, my heart's racing, but I try to keep calm and not shout too much. I feel a huge responsibility for the club, and I have worries, injured players, referees I don't agree with. Also, I know that the manager is always blamed when the team loses. That's very stressful. The way I stay calm is to leave my work at work. I never watch the 24-hour sports channels. I don't go on social media and read what people say on Twitter or Facebook. I don't even talk to my family about it. And that's difficult when I'm down after a really bad game. Oh, and I do DIY around the house. I'm decorating the kitchen at the moment.
2. The head teacher, Joan Bevan.
I had the most fantastic teachers when I was at school, and I think that's why I feel so much stress and worry in this job. See, I believe that a good school makes a huge difference to the lives of young people. We have 1,100 students here, and I have a personal responsibility for each one of them. So I arrived early to school every morning to give myself time to just sit and think quietly. The most stressful situation is when angry parents show up. Oh, I try to stay calm, as the minute you shout, people don't listen. Also, I run. I'm training for the Great Welsh Marathon at the moment, so I run 8 miles 3 nights a week, and that's a great help.
3. The deep-sea diver Kyle Cooper.
What I do is install underwater gas and oil wells. I work 300 kilometres north of Shetland, in Scotland. The whole job is stressful. From the helicopter ride to the ship, to when I get into a 2.5 metre by 7 metre chamber for a month. I'm in there with 11 other divers. We work in teams of 3. We go up and down in a kind of diving bell, which is lowered to 20 metres above the seabed, and we work for 6 hours in the pitch black. It's tiring. It's very tiring. But I've been doing it for 20 years, and I still love it. Usually I work 1 month and then have 2 months off. Even when I'm not working, I love the sea. It calms me. You won't believe it, but sailing is my favourite pastime. I love sailing. I'm actually building my own boat at the moment.
4. The A&E doctor, Dr. Bonnie Baxter.
I'm an A&E doctor in a busy city centre hospital. We see about 60,000 patients a year. It's stressful most of the time, but especially weekends. We see twice as many patients at weekends. I understand their distress when they say, "How long do I have to wait? When will I be seen?" But I can't often give them an answer. The very nature of A&E is that it is unpredictable for both doctors and patients. I've now been working here almost 3 years. What helps me is having people around who share the stresses of the day. Oh, that and my knitting. In my few free moments, I knit. I'm making a little blue jacket for my sister's baby. He'll probably be too big for it by the time I finish.
3.3. The loneliness of the football manager. An interview with Gary Rudd.
How do you get a balance between work and home life?
Well, it's tricky, but I've been married for 10 years and I've been doing this job for 3 years. And very fortunately, my lovely wife understands how stressful it is. Also, it helps that we live near my work. We have a nice house not far from the football ground.
Do you have any children?
We have 2 kids, twin daughters. Thank goodness they both love football. They often come to watch the matches, but I never seem to have time to do dad-type things with them. My job is so time-consuming. I usually work 6 days out of 7 and always at weekends.
Don't you like your job?
Don't get me wrong, I love my job. It's challenging and exciting. I never know what's going to happen. I like training the lads, they're great guys, but it's often lonely. I enjoyed all my years as a player. I loved all the dressing room chat and socialising after the game. Now I'm not invited to join them.
Do you and your wife relax at all?
Not much. We don't have a social life these days. I try to switch off when I get home and do stuff around the house, but it's difficult. I like doing DIY, but I rarely finish anything. I'm painting the kitchen at the moment. I've been doing it for weeks and it's not finished yet.
What does your wife think about that?
She's a very patient lady and she has lots of interests of her own, but...
How long are you going to stay as manager?
I don't have an answer to that. I want to leave when the team are doing well. I have no idea when that will be. I'm hoping before my marriage ends. Don't worry, I'm joking.
3.4 Questions and answers. 1.
Does he have any children?
Yes, he does. He has twin daughters.
2.
Where does he live?
In a nice house, not far from the football ground.
3.
How many days a week does he work?
6 days out of 7 and always at weekends.
4.
What does he like about his job?
He thinks it's challenging and exciting because he never knows what's going to happen. Also, he likes training the players. He thinks they're great.
5.
Why is he lonely?
Because he's not invited to join the players after the game.
6.
How does he relax?
He likes doing DIY, but he rarely finishes anything.
7.
What is he doing at the moment?
He's painting the kitchen. He's been painting it for weeks, but it's not finished yet.
8.
When does he want to leave his job?
Not until his team are doing well.
3.5 First day in a new job.
Gosh, I don't know anybody. Can you help me? Who are all these people?
Well, let's see. That's Nigel. He's sitting at the top of the table reading a report or something.
He's the one wearing the bright blue tie, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And what does he do?
He's the CEO, the man in charge. He runs the show.
The big boss, in other words.
Some days he shouts a lot, but he listens as well. Then there's Edward. He's wearing a light grey suit. He's standing in front of the window chatting to Helena. Edward's the sales director. He's going to China soon. He's charming. He always has a nice word to say to everyone. Helena's drinking a coffee. She's wearing a lovely green jacket and cream silk scarf. She always dresses beautifully.
I can see that. And Helena is the...
Helena's the accountant. Money, money, money. Very bright, very quick.
Okay. And who's that sitting down, talking on her phone?
In the pink jumper?
Yeah.
That's Jenny, the human resources manager, HR manager. She looks after all the personnel. She's a sweetheart. Everyone loves her. Then opposite her is Matthew. He's the IT manager. He's only working here for a few months. He's from our New York office. I don't really know him very well.
Is he the guy working on his laptop in the striped shirt?
That's him. Striped shirt, no tie. He knows everything about technology. He's preparing to give a presentation. And finally, that's Christina, standing behind Nigel. She's his PA.
Sorry, who was that?
Christina, behind Nigel. She's his personal assistant. She organises his diary and the whole of his life, actually. But she helps us too. We couldn't cope without her. She runs the whole place. Can you see the huge dangly earrings she's wearing? She always wears interesting earrings. It's her thing.
Good for her. Right, thanks, Josh. I hope I can remember all that.
Well, they're a very nice crowd. Well, let me introduce you. Hey, everyone. This is Sarah, our new marketing manager.
Hi.
Hello, Sarah.
3.6 What's your job?
What's your job?
I'm a human resources manager.
So what do you do exactly?
I look after the employees and their training and make sure they're happy.
And what are you working on at the moment?
I'm recruiting and interviewing. We're trying to find new staff for our office in Paris.
3.7. What do they do for a living? 1. Steph.
There's never a quiet or dull moment in my job. You need eyes at the back of your head when you're looking after a bunch of 3-year-olds. They are constantly on the move. My favourite time of the day is story time because I get to sit down for 15 minutes. Story time is my one moment of calm in the day.
2. Will.
I actually like getting up so early in the morning. In this job, you never get to lie in. And at the moment, I'm up in the night as well because we're lambing. Quite a few of the sheep have problems lambing, especially if it's twins. I had triplets last night. Stressful, but they were all fine.
3. Sebastian.
I love working in such a fast-moving environment and in a big city. I'm excited by it. It suits me because I've always been fascinated by numbers. Making money disappear and reappear is thrilling to me. I'm a workaholic. I work 16 hours a day. The downside is living in fear of losing your job. It can happen at any time. Lots of my friends have. That's why we deserve the money we earn.
4. Mansell.
I'm about to retire. Not long ago, we could retire at 55 or 60. But now it's 65. I think people believe it's a more glamorous job than it actually is. You go all over the world, but you don't really know anywhere. The greatest thrill in my career was when I flew Concorde. I did the London-Barbados run. Now my wife and I are going to have a proper holiday there.
3.8. Dan Price, the best boss in America.
It's Monday morning, and a dozen people are sitting around a conference table in an office on an industrial estate in rainy Seattle. A woman is writing on a whiteboard. Coffee is being sipped. It's just after 8 a.m. I'm at a meeting in the credit card processing firm Gravity Payments. A latecomer slips in and takes a seat among them. With his unkempt hair, jeans, and trainers, he looks just like another member of staff. But this is the boss, Dan Price. Probably the best boss in the world.
3.9. Our work-life balance. Lucinda.
Free time? What's that? Balancing work and, life? I don't think I do that very well. I run an advertising agency, and what with my family and the daily commute to work, life is pretty full on. I am trying to do more non-work stuff, so I've just started tennis lessons. I go to the local tennis club on Sunday mornings, but to be honest, some Sundays I find it too difficult to get up. I can't drag myself out of bed. I've bought all the kit, expensive racket, shorts and trainers and stuff, so I do try to make the effort, especially when my son starts shouting at me to get up. Actually, that's what happens most Sundays. Oh, and I do yoga occasionally, every few weeks when I start feeling really stressed. All that meditation helps a lot.
Barney.
It's not fair. We get so much homework. Every night and weekends, and the bit of the weekend that's free, I have tennis lessons. I've been having tennis lessons forever, every Saturday morning. I know I'm good at tennis and I kind of like it. Only thing is, it's not what I like most. I like football. I like it a lot. I play for a local club for 9 to 12-year-olds. We're called the Burco Raiders and, well, we're rubbish really. I mean, really rubbish. We never win. But I still like it more than tennis. It's just not fair. Mum has tennis lessons too, but most times she misses it because she's still asleep. Actually, for me, absolutely best of all are my computer games. Football ones, of course. I play FIFA and a fantastic American football game called Madden 16. Oh, and do you know Forza? That's not football, it's a racing car game. It's really my dad's. He loves it, and he can play it when he wants. But they, my mum and dad, only let me use my iPad after I've done my homework. It's not fair.
Justin.
We're a busy family. I'm a marketing manager. I'm well paid, but I've reached a stage in my life where I've realised work isn't everything. Work to live, don't live to work. I have a health app on my phone. It shows me how many steps I walk and how many flights of stairs I climb in a day. You have to aim for at least 10,000 steps. I'm your classic London commuter, but I never use escalators or lifts on the way to work. I walk as much as I can. But still, sometimes, at the end of the day, I have to go up and down the stairs at home to get my 10,000 steps. I do other things too. I play squash on a Tuesday evening, and I go running on a Sunday before I take Barney to his football, and watch miserably as his team loses again. He doesn't seem to mind. Football is king to him in whatever form. I don't much like the football games on the computer, but I do like a racing car game. Forza, it's called. But my fave is a game called Elite. I think it's because it's like a game I played when I was 10. It's basically like Star Trek. I always find time for that. Oh, yes, and once a year, in September, I go on a walking tour with 3 other guys in the Alps. It's exhausting, but I love the feeling after you've done it. I can even face the commute.
3.10 Making Small Talk at a business conference in Chicago.
So, what do you think of Chicago, Bruno?
It's really interesting. Chicago's a great city, isn't it? There are some amazing buildings, and I find the people really friendly.
Yes, they are, aren't they? When did you get here?
I arrived yesterday. I flew in from Miami. My flight was a bit late landing because of wind, but that didn't matter at all.
Well, Chicago's often called the Windy City, you know.
Is it? I didn't know that.
And where are you staying while you're here?
I'm staying at the Avenue Hotel. It's convenient for the conference. My room isn't very big, but it's okay.
Oh, that's too bad. Never mind. And do you live in Miami, Bruno?
Yes, I do now. I live in a suburb not far from the sea, but I'm from Brazil originally. I was born in São Paulo.
Oh, so you're Brazilian. Your English is very good. Where did you learn it?
Oh, that's very kind of you. I'm sure I make lots of mistakes. I learned English in school for years, but also I've been working in the U.S. for 5 years now.
Oh, have you? That's interesting. And how long are you here in Chicago for?
Only 5 days. I'm just here for the conference. I'm leaving on the 17th.
Oh, so soon. And have you managed to see anything of our city yet?
I've not seen a lot yet. I walked along the lakefront this morning, and I want to take a boat tour from Navy Pier and go up to the sky deck.
Oh, yes, you get a fabulous view of the city from up there. Well, Bruno, I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay.
Thank you, Erin. It's been really nice talking to you.
3.11 Answer, comment, and ask a question. 1.
Who do you work for?
2.
Do you enjoy your work?
3.
Where do you come from?
4.
Have you ever been to Chicago?
5.
This town's very exciting, isn't it?
Six.
What do you do when you're not working?
Seven.
The weather's amazing at the moment, isn't it?
Eight.
Are you having a holiday this year?
Nine.
What's your favourite TV programme?
.12. Listen and compare. 1.
Who do you work for?
Siemens. I've been with them for 4 years. They're a good company. How about you?
2.
Do you enjoy your work?
Yes, I do. It's quite hard, very challenging. But I like the challenge. What about you? Do you like your job?
3.
Where do you come from?
I was born in Montreal, and I've lived there all my life, near my parents. I'd like to live abroad sometime.
4.
Have you ever been to Chicago?
No, I haven't, but I'd love to. I've heard it's one of the most amazing cities in the world. Have you been there?
5.
This town's very exciting, isn't it?
Really? Do you think so? There isn't very much to do. I get so bored here. What do you find to do?
6.
What do you do when you're not working?
Well, I like horse riding, and I play squash, and I love music, so I often go to concerts. What about you?
7.
The weather's amazing at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, it's so mild. We haven't had any really cold weather at all. Have you heard the weather forecast for the weekend? It's supposed to be good, isn't it?
8.
Are you having a holiday this year?
Yes, I'm going to Mexico with some friends. I haven't been there before, so I'm really looking forward to it. Are you going away?
9.
What's your favourite TV programme?
I like a lot. Documentaries, quiz shows, and the news. I suppose I like everything. I'm quite a TV addict. Do you watch much TV?
CD 2. 4.1. William Shakespeare, 1564 to 1616.
When and where was Shakespeare born?
Shakespeare was born in April 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon. At that time, Stratford had a population of about 1,000, but just after his birth, 200 people were killed by the plague. Fortunately, William survived. His father, John Shakespeare, was a wealthy wool trader who owned 3 houses in the town. In the 1500s, it used to take 2 days to ride the 100 miles from Stratford to London.
Did Shakespeare go to school?
Shakespeare went to his local grammar school from the age of 7 until 15. Only boys attended school in the 16th century. They were taught Latin and had to memorize stories from history.
Did Shakespeare marry?
Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, a farmer's daughter, in 1582, when he was just 18 years old. Anne was 28. They had 3 children, Susanna in 1583, and twins, Judith and Hamnet, in 1585. Hamnet died of the Black Plague in 1596, when Shakespeare was living and working in London.
What did Shakespeare do in London?
He came to London in about 1590, and by 1592 he had become a well-known actor and playwright. One of his first plays, Henry VI, was performed in the Rose Theatre in 1591. Then, for 2 years, from 1592 to 1594, theatres were closed because of the plague. This was when Shakespeare wrote most of his poetry. Most of his 37 plays were written between 1594 and 1613, after he had joined an acting company called the Lord Chamberlain's Men. The actors often used to perform for Elizabeth I. In 1597, they bought £10 shares in a new theatre, the Globe. This theatre was, and still is, a huge success.
Did Shakespeare ever visit Italy?
6 of Shakespeare's plays have an Italian background, including Romeo and Juliet and The Merchant of Venice. Because of this, many people believed that he had visited Italy, but there is no evidence of this.
Was Shakespeare famous in his own lifetime? When did he die?
He was famous during his lifetime. His plays and poems were held in high regard by other writers. He died on April the 23rd, 1616, in Stratford, and he was buried in Holy Trinity Church. It surprises many people that, in his will, the only thing he left his unfortunate wife was their second-best bed.
4.2. I didn't do much. 1.
What did you do last night?
I didn't do much. Just made myself something to eat, watched telly for a bit, and then bed by 10. I had an early night. I was asleep by 11. Boring.
2.
What did you do last night?
I went to my yoga class. It does me good after a day's work. Then some of us went for a drink. I got home about 9 and did a bit of online shopping. Just supermarket stuff. And that was it.
3.
What did you do last night?
I went to see a film with a couple of friends, the latest James Bond. It wasn't really my kind of thing. I liked the previous one better. Then I missed my train, so I didn't get home till after midnight. Not the best of nights for me.
4.
What did you do last night?
Well, that's easy. What I do every night. Studied till after midnight. I even took my laptop to bed. I've got a major exam coming up. Oh boy, I'm going to be out every night when it's all over.
4.3. How Shakespeare caused an air crash.
On October the 4th, 1960, a Lockheed Electra plane was taking off from Boston Airport in the US when a flock of about 20,000 starlings suddenly flew into its path. The plane crashed into the sea and 62 people were killed. The birds had choked the engines of the plane and brought it down. And tragically, only 19 people survived.
So, what is the link to Shakespeare?
The starling is not a species of bird that's native to North America. Starlings were introduced in 1890 by a New Yorker called Eugene Schieffelin. Schieffelin was not only interested in birds, he was obsessed with Shakespeare. He'd made a list of all the songbirds mentioned in Shakespeare's plays and poetry, and he wanted to introduce these birds to Central Park in New York. This he did. But some birds, such as thrushes and blackbirds, found it difficult to survive. Others, however, particularly the starlings, thrived, and by the 1940s they had spread across America from California to Alaska. They formed gigantic flocks of up to 1 million birds, and many native species, such as bluebirds and woodpeckers, were driven out. Schieffelin's romantic gesture not only caused an air crash, but an ecological disaster too. So, where does Shakespeare mention starlings? In all of his 37 plays and 154 poems, there is only one brief reference, and that's in Henry IV, Part 1.
4.4 Spelling and Pronunciation.
Good. Food. Blood. Enough. Through. Cough. Bought.
4.5 Which words rhyme? 1,
Love. Move. Glove.
2,
Some. Come. Home.
3,
Pair. Dear. Fear.
4,
Lost. Most. Post.
5,
Death. Breath. Beneath.
6,
Boot. Shoot. Foot.
7,
8. Weight. Height.
8,
Blood. Stood. Flood.
9,
Flower. Power. Lower.
10,
Allow. Swallow. Follow.
4.6 Write the word you hear.
Right. 8. See. Through. New.
4.7 Common words.
Answer. Biscuit. Fruit. Human. Cure. Receipt. Recipe. Vegetable. Woman. Women. Knee.
4.8 Reciting a poem. The Unfortunate Tale of Henry King by Hilaire Belloc.
The chief defect of Henry King was chewing little bits of string. At last he swallowed some which tied itself in ugly knots inside. Physicians of the utmost fame were called at once, but when they came they answered, as they took their fees, "There is no cure for this disease. Henry will very soon be dead." His parents stood about his bed, lamenting his untimely death, when Henry, with his latest breath, cried, "Oh, my friends, be warned by me that breakfast, dinner, lunch, and tea are all the human frame requires." With that, the wretched child expires.
4.9 The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. London, late 19th century. 1.
Basil Hallward was working in his studio on a portrait of a beautiful young man when he was visited by his pleasure-loving friend, Lord Henry Wotton. Henry was very impressed by the portrait and wanted to meet this charming youth, Dorian Gray. This worried Basil.
It's the best work you've done. I must see Dorian Gray.
I don't want you to meet him.
2.
At that moment, Dorian arrived and, to Basil's distress, invited Henry to stay and watch. Immediately, Henry started to charm Dorian with his clever ideas about life. Basil continued painting, but Dorian was tired and went into the garden. Henry followed.
Lord Henry, are you really such a bad influence as Basil says?
I believe the only way to get rid of temptation is to yield to it.
3. Dorian listened wide-eyed to Henry's words about the horrors of old age. He had never thought about this before. He viewed his youthful self in the finished portrait and felt troubled. It would never grow old and ugly. He would sell his soul to remain young forever, like the portrait.
Youth is the one thing worth having. Your beauty will go.
I will grow old, but the portrait will never be older. I would give my soul for that.
4. Dorian and Henry soon became great friends, and Dorian began to seek new pleasures around London. One day, he confided to Henry that he had been to an old Shakespearean theatre in the East End and fallen in love with Juliet, a beautiful young actress called Sybil Vane.
Who were you in love with?
Sybil Vane. Night after night I go to see her play. I worship her.
5.
Sybil lived with her poor mother and brother James, who was preparing to sail to Australia. James was frightened for his beloved sister. She had told them of her great love of Prince Charming, whose real name she did not know, but who came to see her play each night.
Oh, I love Prince Charming.
Who is he? I'm sure he means you no good. If he does you any wrong, I'll kill him.
6.
Finally, Dorian asked Sybil to marry him. He invited Henry and Basil to see her act, so that they could see why he had fallen for her. She looked lovely as Juliet. Then she spoke. Her acting was terrible, meaningless. Dorian, embarrassed and furious, ended the engagement.
You have killed my love. What are you now? A third-rate actress with a pretty face.
Dorian, don't leave me.
.10 7.
Dorian left Sybil and walked the streets. Arriving home at dawn, his eye caught the portrait and he jumped back in horror. The face had changed. His soft expression had become hard and cruel. Suddenly, he recalled what he'd said in Basil's studio. Dorian was afraid.
Have I been cruel? But oh, I wished for the portrait to grow old while I remained young. The picture shows my true self.
Next day, Dorian approached the portrait, sick with fear. He was gazing at it with disbelief when Lord Henry arrived. Dorian told him that he'd now decided to marry Sybil after all. Henry gasped. Dorian hadn't received his note. Sybil was dead.
I can't bear the idea of my soul being hideous. I will marry Sybil.
Oh, Dorian, Sybil is dead.
Dead. Sybil dead. It's a horrible lie.
Nine.
Years passed. Dorian tried to drown his guilt in a life of pleasure and scandal. Basil came to confront him about his evil ways and reacted with horror when Dorian revealed the now hideous portrait. In a fit of rage, Dorian blamed Basil for all his suffering and stabbed his friend to death.
I don't believe it's my picture. It has the eyes of the devil. I want the Dorian Gray I used to paint.
It's too late, Basil.
10.
Basil's body lay beneath the portrait, which was now sweating blood. A cruel and desperate Dorian contacted a former doctor friend, Alan Campbell, and managed to blackmail the horrified man into helping him get rid of Basil's body.
What devil's work are you up to now?
Alan, I had to kill him. He made me suffer.
You are mad, Dorian.
$11.
Dorian tried to forget Basil and the portrait. Again, he threw himself into his decadent life. One night, in a pub by the river, a sailor grabbed him from behind. It was Sybil's brother, James. But how could this youthful-looking man be Dorian? James ran off in fear.
You wrecked the life of my sister. She killed herself. Oh, no, forgive me, sir. The man I want must be nearly 40. You were little more than a boy.
12.
Finally, Dorian had suffered enough. He wanted his old life back. He went to see the portrait. To his horror, it had become even more repulsive. He had to destroy it. He took a knife and stabbed the picture. The police found the body of an ugly, wrinkled old man beneath a perfect portrait.
I will kill the past. I will be free.
It's Dorian Gray.
$4.11. Once upon a time, Richard and Ian.
Why is this your favourite story?
I think it's because I saw it on stage first. I was 7 and it was the first time I'd been to the theatre. I was fascinated by the flying and the magic, and it was frightening too. I was terrified of the pirates and Captain Hook. But I was at that age when you love being scared.
But Captain Hook was funny. He wasn't scary.
Well, he was scary to me. I really believed his hand was a hook.
Hadn't his hand been eaten by a crocodile?
Yes, and the crocodile had swallowed a clock. So before you saw it, you heard this tick-tock, tick-tock. And all the kids in the audience screamed to Captain Hook, "He's behind you! He's behind you!" Brilliant stuff.
Was Captain Hook your favourite character?
Oh, no. Peter was, of course. I love the idea of never growing up. It's brilliant, and being able to fly, just opening your bedroom window and soaring over London to a country called Neverland. Magical.
I think a lot of people dream of flying. Didn't Peter have this really naughty fairy? What was her name again?
Tinkerbell.
Ah.
I liked her. She was so cheeky, really rude. And she hated Wendy. Remember Wendy? Tinkerbell was jealous because Peter loved Wendy. Actually, I wasn't too keen on Wendy either, or her brothers.
John and Michael.
Yeah, that's right. I thought being able to fly to Neverland was wasted on them and Wendy. She was a bit soppy.
And the dog. What about the dog?
Nana. Oh, I loved Nana. Poor dog. She was looking after the children when Peter taught them to fly and took them away. Do you know, I read the story now to my own kids, and they love it just as much as I did. Actually, I think I understand it more as a grown-up.
Why's that?
Well, I think growing up is quite a scary thing to do. Childhood is safe, no responsibility. Being an adult is tough. I think a lot of people would like to stay young forever.
True. Some people never grow up, do they? I suppose that's why it's called Neverland.
Beth and Anna.
I think I remember this story. I think my dad read it to me at bedtime.
My dad read it to me too, and I've just read it to my 4-year-old daughter. It was my favourite when I was little, and now it's her favourite too. Did you like it when you were a child?
Well, I used to love any story with princes and princesses who lived happily ever after.
But actually, this is a dark story. It's really sad and it's cruel. And the Wicked Witch is really wicked.
Wasn't it about a married couple who were longing for a baby?
That's right.
And then, when they finally had a baby, a wicked witch whisked it away.
Yeah, but only because the wife's husband had stolen salad stuff from the witch's garden.
Oh, I'd forgotten that.
Yeah. The wife craved lettuce, presumably because she was pregnant. And the husband was caught stealing it, so the witch took the baby, a girl, and when she became 16, locked her up at the top of a tower without any door or any stairs.
So, how did the witch get her into the tower in the first place?
You're too logical. Don't ask difficult questions. Anyway, the girl had beautiful, thick, long, very long blonde hair, and she used to throw it out of the window, so...
So there was a window?
Yeah, one window. So the witch used to call, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," and then climb up the hair to the girl.
Oh, wow!
Then one day...
I know. One day, a handsome prince came riding by on a white horse and saved the girl, and she became a princess and they lived happily ever after.
No, you're going too fast.
Oh.
The witch discovered the prince and threw him out of the window. He didn't die, but he was blinded and spent years wandering around.
What about the girl?
The witch took her to a desert. And finally, the prince heard her singing. They met, and her tears fell on his eyes, and...
Don't tell me. He could see again. And they went off together to his castle, got married, and lived happily ever after.
You got it.
4.12 Giving Opinions.
So, what do you think of the latest Bond movie? It's really great, isn't it?
Definitely. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Do you think so? I'm not so sure. It wasn't as good as the last one.
Oh, yes, it was. I thought it was much more exciting.
It was okay, but it wasn't that good. My favourite will always be Skyfall.
Why? Because Daniel Craig was Bond?
No, of course not. But he does make a pretty good Bond, doesn't he?
Pretty good. He's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Do you two have a favourite Bond?
Me? No, not really. They're all so different.
For me, it's Sean Connery. Surely he's the best. He's the original. I've got the whole box set of all the Bond movies, and he was definitely the best.
I totally agree. He's the definitive James Bond. I love his Scottish accent.
Well, I do too, but you're only saying he's the best because he was the first. Who do you think the next Bond will be?
I've no idea.
Maybe they'll have a female Bond one day. Jemima Bond.
Now that's something I could be really enthusiastic about. Dum de dum 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 de dum 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 da da da. Jemima Bond saves the world.
4.13.
It's great, isn't it? He does make a pretty good Bond, doesn't he?
4.14. Question tags. 1.
We had a great time in New York, didn't we?
We did. It was amazing.
2.
But the weather wasn't that good, was it?
It wasn't that bad.
3.
New Yorkers lead very busy lives, don't they?
Indeed they do.
4.
Our friends took us to a fabulous show on Broadway, didn't they?
They did. I just loved it.
5.
We'd never been to a musical before, had we?
Well, actually, I had. I went once in London.
6.
I lost my passport. I'm such an idiot, aren't I?
Well, you're certainly good at losing things.
4.15. Making opinions stronger. 1.
He was pretty good in the role.
Pretty good? He was absolutely wonderful.
2.
The talk was quite interesting.
Quite interesting. It was really fascinating.
3.
The bride looked quite nice.
Quite nice. She looked absolutely fabulous.
4.
I quite liked the chocolate dessert.
Quite liked it. I really loved it.
5.
He quite likes Maria.
Quite likes her. He totally adores her.
6.
The book wasn't very good.
Not very good. It was really awful.
7.
I don't like noisy bars.
Don't like them. I just can't stand them.
5.1. Everyday dilemmas. 1.
I work in an office with a huge stationery cupboard. Do you think it's okay to take envelopes and pens home for my personal use?
Well, you shouldn't really. It's not allowed. So it is actually stealing.
The thing is, I'm seriously underpaid for the amount of work I do.
2.
I've just found a £20 note on the floor in the university library. Should I hand it in?
Yes, you must, of course. I'm sure whoever's lost it will ask if it's been found.
I don't trust that man on the desk, though. He seems to hate students.
3.
My partner often leaves the email inbox open on his laptop when he's out of the room. Is it wrong to have a look through his emails sometimes?
Of course it is. You need to give people some privacy, even in a relationship.
But I've noticed lots of emails from a girl I've never heard him talk about.
4.
That shop assistant has given me too much change. I don't know whether to go back and tell her.
You probably should. They sometimes take it out of their wages if cash is missing.
She was incredibly rude to me, though.
5.
I didn't enjoy that meal at all. Do you think we should leave a tip?
We don't have to leave one if we don't want to.
But the waitress was really nice.
6.
My friend says I don't need to buy the book for my university course. He'll make me photocopies of his. It doesn't seem wrong to me. What do you think?
It's not just that it's wrong, it's illegal. You know you're not allowed to make copies.
But the book costs a fortune to buy.
7.
Oh, no! I've dropped the sausages on the kitchen floor. They look fine. Do you think it's all right to serve them?
You can't give people food that's been on the floor.
It's very clean, though, and I don't know what else to give them.
8.
My laptop's picking up the neighbour's Wi-Fi and it knows the password from when she used it here. Do you think there's anything wrong with me using it?
Oh, you mustn't use it without asking her. It might end up costing her more.
No, I know she has unlimited broadband. And it's only while mine is broken.
5.2. Breaking the rules. Conversation 1.
Oh, I can't believe it. We had to pay a fine for taking our kids on holiday in school term time.
Well, they're trying to put a stop to it. And to be honest, I don't think parents should make their kids miss school for a holiday.
That's because you haven't got kids. You don't have to pay the ridiculous prices they charge for flights during school holidays.
You don't need to go abroad on holiday. You should take them somewhere in this country.
Oh yeah. Very relaxing. Trying to keep 3 kids happy when it's cold and raining.
Conversation 2.
Do you see those 2 men over there?
Yeah? What about them?
They're smoking. They shouldn't be smoking in here.
Well, they are standing near the door.
It doesn't matter. You're not allowed to smoke anywhere in a public building. Everyone knows that. Do you think I should tell them to stop?
No, you mustn't get involved. They'll probably get all aggressive about it. Just ignore them.
No, we can't just sit here and do nothing. I think someone has to say something. Excuse me.
Conversation 3.
What an unpleasant man.
Well, you did nearly walk into him. I've told you before, you've got to stop texting when you're walking along the road.
I can text wherever I want to, thank you.
No, he had every right to tell you to watch where you're going. You can't walk along like that with your head down expecting everyone else to walk around you.
Well, he didn't need to be quite so rude.
I think you're the one who's being rude. If you must text while you're out shopping, you should stop somewhere and get out of everyone's way.
Oh, come on, everyone does it. You can't stop every time you want to look at your phone.
5.3. School Rules 1880. 1.
Boys and girls had to enter the school through different doors.
2.
Children had to call teachers sir or ma'am.
3.
Children weren't allowed to ask questions.
4.
The children had to stand up to answer questions.
5.
Children didn't have to do any sports.
6.
In the afternoon, boys had to do woodwork while girls had to do cooking and needlework.
7.
Children weren't allowed to use their left hand for writing.
8.
Female teachers weren't allowed to get married.
5.4. Rules for Life. 1. Ellie.
Oh, I love this quote so much. I think about it every time I'm on the dance floor. It's definitely the best way to have a good time. Well, other people aren't really paying attention to how I'm dancing, are they? They're all worrying about how well they're dancing. Now, the bit about loving, that's easier said than done. It's a lovely idea, but unfortunately human beings do have a very long memory for being hurt. And the singing bit, I can do that, no problem. In the shower. I know my family can hear me singing, but they never complain. Probably because they're even worse singers than I am.
2. Dan.
It makes me smile, that quote. I'd heard it before, actually, as a joke, about this man, Michael. He's very religious, but he's always moaning while he's praying to God and complaining that his prayers are never answered. He keeps saying, "Look, God, you don't have to answer all my prayers, but how about just this one thing? I mean, it happens to someone every week, so why can't it be me?" After years of this, God finally loses his patience and speaks to the man. "Michael, you've got to help me out here. Just buy a ticket, will you?" It's good because it shows that when we moan about our lives and say we're fed up with the way things are, we can't just sit and wait for new opportunities to come to us. We've got to do our bit too.
3. Amanda.
Oh, I know that one. It's a quote from Kierkegaard, the philosopher. I kind of hate it, actually, because it's one of the things I find most difficult about life. I mean, you learn lessons from what you've done wrong, but you can't go back and do it again and do it better. So, yes, as he says, we have to live life forwards, but I'm sorry, sometimes I can't help desperately wishing I could go back and do something again and get it all right.
4. Mark.
Both of these quotes really make me laugh. That one's actually true. If I see that the remote is on the other armchair, I will sometimes stay with the programme longer, and I might then change my mind about switching over. And it says something about modern life, the amount of choice we have, and how easy it is to keep switching from one thing to another. I'm just ancient enough to remember when there were only 3 or 4 TV channels, and you had to walk over to the TV to change them. So you didn't very often. And the internet doesn't help. Oh, I'm bored with this article. Click. Here's something else. I'm getting bored again. Click. I think this other quote is my favourite, though. It's hilarious. Things do seem to go a certain way on different days, don't they? And I'm certainly having a statue day today.
5.5. Have got to. 1.
Is your mum away?
Yeah, so Dad's got to do all the cooking.
2.
Where's my phone? I've got to call Jim.
It's where you left it, on the table.
3.
Can I go out now, Mum?
No, you've got to do your homework first.
4.
Have some more tea.
Thanks, but I've got to go now.
5.6. Part 3.
One of the students raised her hand. Yes, Kirsty?
What about the beer? What does that represent?
Ah, I'm glad you picked up on that, said the professor, smiling. That's just to show that no matter how full your life seems, you can always find space for a drink with some friends.
5.7. Separable or inseparable. 1. I managed to get through the day.
I managed to get through it.
2. We both can't get over the shock.
We both can't get over it.
3. You'll need to look these words up.
You'll need to look them up.
4. Why on earth did you bring his divorce up?
Why on earth did you bring it up?
5. We'll look after your cat while you're away.
We'll look after it while you're away.
6. I'll go over my notes before the exam.
I'll go over them before the exam.
7. Do you take after your father or your mother?
Do you take after him or her?
8. They'll pick Carla up at the airport.
They'll pick her up at the airport.
5.8. Polite requests and offers. 1.
Is there any chance you could lend me £20?
I've only got £15. Would that be enough?
2.
Do you want me to record that film later?
Oh, yeah, do. We can watch it when I get back.
3.
Would you mind moving your car?
Oh, sorry. I didn't realise you couldn't get out.
4.
Could I borrow a pen for a second?
Sure. I think this one works okay.
5.
Can I give you a hand with those bags?
Thanks, that'd be great. I did a mega shop.
6.
Would you mind if I opened the window?
No, go ahead. It is very stuffy in here.
7.
Is there anything I can do to help?
No, the meal's nearly ready. Just sit down and relax.
8.
I could give you a lift into town if you want.
Oh, brilliant. Could you drop me at the station?
9.
Could you show me how you made that bold?
Yeah, I used the keyboard shortcut, Control-B.
10.
I'll bring some food round if you like.
Oh, yes, please. I've got nothing in the fridge.
5.9.
Can you move your car? Can you move your car?
5.10.
Could you confirm that by email, please? Could I possibly use your phone charger? Would you mind if I asked you a personal question?
5.11. Requests and offers. 1.
Hi, it's me again. I've just realised I've got a doctor's appointment at 11 tomorrow morning. Could we possibly meet at 12 instead?
No problem. I could meet you for a working lunch if that's better.
That would be great.
OK, let's make it 12:30 then, in the canteen.
2.
Would you mind if we didn't go out to eat tonight? I'd really like to watch the football live.
No, that's fine. Would you like me to get a takeaway?
Oh, that'd be amazing.
OK, I'll get an Indian. And I might just watch some of the match with you.
3.
So how's my favourite grandson? How's school?
It's okay. Doing fine.
Liam, would you mind not texting while I'm talking to you? It's very rude.
Oh, really sorry, Gran. It was something really important. I'll put it away now.
4.
I hope you've enjoyed your stay with us.
Yes, we have. The room was lovely, with such a great view.
Good. Now, can I get you a taxi?
No, thanks. Our friends have come to give us a lift to the airport.
5.12. Writing for talking. 1. How to save a wet phone.
Have you ever dropped your phone in water or spilled a drink on it? If so, you're not alone. 1/3 of phones are lost because of water damage, and it doesn't always help if they're waterproof. Well, I can't promise anything, but today I'm going to tell you how you may be able to save a wet phone. First, you must get the phone out of the water as soon as possible. I know that might seem obvious, but it's important to realise that every second it's in the water, the more likely it is to be too damaged to repair. So don't stand there panicking and shouting, "Oh no!" Just rescue it immediately. Next, you must switch the phone off straight away to stop water damaging the electrical circuits. If it was off when it got wet, you must leave it off. You mustn't switch it on to see if it's working. Of course, you're dying to find out if it is, but switching it on at this point is the worst thing you could do. Now wipe off any water from the outside of the phone using some paper towels. Then gently shake the phone so that any water inside has a chance to come out. After that, you need to dry out the inside of the phone as much as possible. Don't use a hairdryer to try and dry it quickly. That might seem like a good idea, but the heat will do even more damage to the phone. It needs to dry out nice and slowly. So, get some uncooked rice and put it in a plastic box or bag and put the phone in the middle of the rice. Close the box or bag so that the air can't get in, and then leave it for about 48 hours. While it's drying out, you mustn't keep opening it to see what's happening. Be patient. After 48 hours, you can take it out and try switching it on. You might be lucky and find the phone is working perfectly. But be careful. You should back up everything on your phone as soon as you can, because there may still be a problem and it could stop working again later. Finally, if you need to take it to a repair shop or return it to the manufacturer, you have to be honest about what's happened. Most warranties don't cover water damage, and it's no good saying, "My phone's not working and I don't know why." They put things inside the phone that tell them it's been in water, so they'll know you aren't telling the truth. Anyway, good luck and take care of your phones.
6.1 Leonardo DiCaprio. 1.
Where and when was he born?
He was born in Los Angeles in 1974.
2.
What was his mother doing when she chose his name?
She was looking at a Leonardo da Vinci painting.
3.
When did he get his first film role?
He got his first film role in 1991 when he was 16.
4.
What was he filming when he had the most fun in his life?
What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
5.
When did Leo Mania begin?
It began when he was 22, after he starred in Romeo and Juliet.
6.
How long has his foundation been supporting environmental causes?
Since 1998, when it was founded.
7.
When was he first nominated for an acting Oscar?
When he was 19.
8.
How many times has he been nominated?
6 times.
9.
Has he ever won an Oscar?
Yes, he finally won his first Oscar in 2016 for The Revenant.
10.
Which famous actors have appeared with him?
Robert De Niro, Johnny Depp, Claire Danes, Kate Winslet, and many others.
11.
How many model girlfriends has he had?
7 so far.
12.
How much money has he donated to conservation projects?
More than $70 million.
6.2 Switching saddles.
Sorry, did you say you're going to the races tomorrow? Since when have you been a horse racing fan?
Well, it's more that I've always been a fan of Victoria Pendleton. She's riding in a big race tomorrow.
But she's a cyclist.
Well, yes, she was. She won Olympic gold in Beijing and London. She was amazing, but in fact, she didn't enjoy competitive cycling that much. So she retired, and she's a jockey now.
Ah, really? I didn't know that. How long has she been a jockey?
She's only been in a few races so far, but she's been training hard for over a year. She'd never sat on a horse before that, though.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is. For the last year, she's been taking part in a challenge called Switching Saddles to see if she can ride in a top jump race within a year. She's been trained by the best people right from the start, of course.
It's still a huge challenge for a beginner, though. And those jumps always look scary to me. Has she had any falls?
Oh, yeah. She's fallen off a few times in training, and she came off in one of her first races. But she's fallen in love with horse riding completely, and I'm hoping to see her win her first big race tomorrow. Or at least stay on.
Brilliant. Good luck to her.
Yeah.
6.3 1.
How long are you here for?
4 more days. We came 2 days ago.
2.
How long have you been here?
Since Monday.
3.
How long have you been here?
Over half an hour. Where have you been?
4.
How long are you here for?
Until Friday. We're leaving Friday morning.
5.
How long are you here for?
We're staying a month altogether.
6.4 Part 1.
And there are great adventures to be had in many different kinds of environments, forests, deserts, mountains. What is it that attracts you to the potential utter misery of the poles?
Well, if I'm honest, it was actually just an opportunity that came my way when I saw a newspaper advert that asked for applications to go to the North Pole. And I'm a great believer in taking up opportunities, so I applied and I found myself in the Arctic. Having got to the Arctic, I loved the place. It blew my mind away. You're walking on a crystal ice that moves, it makes sound, it groans. Yes, it's trying to kill you most of the time, but it feels like a living beast. Nature at its rawest, and I'd never experienced anything like that before, and I was hooked from day one.
All I'm getting from you now is positivity and optimism and joy, but I know for an absolute fact that it isn't always like that.
Most of the time it's not. Most of the time you're in agony, you're pulling a sledge, and you're... On our North Pole expedition in 2002, it was an 80-day expedition. On day 37, we had gone just 69 miles of the 500 miles. That's how slow we'd gone, barely 2 and a bit miles a day. Every inch of our body screamed with pain. But you know, the sense of achievement really overcomes the horror. And like anything in life, when we've finished and we've got through it, we take away the beauty and the greatness and the joy, not the pain and the horror. As I would imagine there would never be more than one child born if we didn't take the beauty away from the great experiences of life.
It's interesting you say that. Actually, Ranulph Fiennes talks about the fact that to be an explorer, and particularly a polar explorer, all you really need is a terrible memory. And that actually, you know, all that you take away with you is, as you're saying, really, those transcendent moments, and you forget about all of the chafing and the blisters and the gangrene.
6.5 Part 2.
You had a very normal childhood and upbringing.
Yeah, I was born in the city of Bradford, and that's quite an industrial city, and from working class parents where we were expected to leave school. I left at 15, just before my 16th birthday, and then we had to go get a job and bring income into the house. That's what we did. And that's what I did. And as a child, I had 4 older brothers, so we were always getting up to mischief. But as soon as I grew up, I took a normal job. I was in a bank, and I thought I would have children. The height of my ambition was to go back to the bank and progress to be a manager. And that was all my expectations were, up until I saw a newspaper advert, and it changed my whole world and perception and life.
Legendary climber Joe Simpson was, like you, the last of 5 children. And he talks about how, as a child, you were always seeking to find your niche in a family and in life. And as the 5th, all of those niches have already been taken, and you have to work even harder to try and impose your character. And he says that that's pretty much fundamental to how he got into becoming an explorer, an adventurer, and a climber. Do you think that that had any kind of formative part in your life?
Absolutely. But I would say possibly slightly different in I was the 5th, but I was the only girl, so I had 4 brothers. So my psyche was, I never felt I was good enough or big enough or strong enough because I've got these boys who are running around, and I come from the kind of background where girls really weren't expected to be boys. And so I found that I was fighting because I wanted to be one of them. I wanted to be able to go and play football and climb the trees. And so I did. And you can guarantee if my older brother said, there's a really high tree there, who's going to do it? I'd be up there first. Not because I could or because I wanted to, because I wanted to prove myself to them. And just through doing that, I guess I became more daring, took more risks, and then found the joy of getting to the top of the tree and, wow, look what I've done. Especially if they couldn't do it, that was even better. So certainly I think being the last, you're always trying to prove yourself to your older siblings.
What do you think it is that's special about you that allows you to do the things you do?
Nothing more than stubbornness and bloody-mindedness. I haven't got any special qualities. I'm fairly intelligent, but I'm not a genius. I'm not stronger than anybody else. I am able to face my fears, and I'm able to put myself into difficulties and just keep going.
6.6. Saying numbers. 1,
150 or 150. 2,150. 680,575.
6.7. Saying numbers. 2,
07700 900 568. 0.5. 0 degrees centigrade. Italy 2, Germany 0.
6.8. 1,
What time does the train to Heathrow leave?
13:45.
2,
How far is it from London to the Bahamas?
4,342 miles.
3,
How long is the flight?
9.5 hours.
4,
How much is a return ticket?
£1,171.
5,
What's your credit card number?
6356 5055 5137 9904.
6,
What's the expiry date?
0724.
7,
How much does your suitcase weigh?
21 kilos.
8,
What's your mobile number?
07700 900 834.
9,
What's the VAT rate in the Bahamas?
7.5%.
10.
What's the average temperature?
Between 24 and 29 degrees centigrade.
6.9.
Good morning. Where are you flying to?
The Bahamas, Nassau, flight 860.
Okay, how many bags are you checking in?
Just the one?
Put it on the scales, please. I'm afraid that's over the weight limit, sir.
By how much?
Rather a lot, I'm afraid. It's 29.5 kilos, and you're only allowed 23. It means we have to charge an excess baggage fee of $75. That's 52 pounds.
What? That's the same as paying for an extra bag, isn't it?
No, a second bag would be $125, 87 pounds.
Whoa, that's steep. Well, I guess I'll just have to pay the charge then.
Sorry about that, sir. You can pay at the service desk over there, and, do you have carry-on luggage?
Yes, just this one.
I'm afraid that's going to be a problem too, sir. It's above the size restrictions.
What?
It won't go in the baggage check. It needs to be 55 by 35 centimeters. This will have to go in the hold.
Oh, no. I'm not paying another $125 for another bag.
Don't worry, sir. I won't charge you for that one.
Oh, well, thank you.
Here's your boarding pass. Your gate is 17A, and it'll start boarding at 11:35. Your seat number is 50C.
Thank you.
Oh, it's just come up on my screen. That flight's been delayed by 1.5 hours. You'll be boarding at 1:05 now. I am sorry.
It's just not my day, is it?